I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I get it. Like, people just have their taste in the kind of content they want to consume. But I do think a big part of it is my voice. I do think that because my content is so grabby, the Kurt Cobain video is such a great distillation. That was maybe one of the first that really started getting me a lot of hate.
Would you have with a trans woman?
Bruh, that's nasty, bruh. Everybody knows trans women are just trans-identified men that have gender dysphoria and are mentally ill. I ain't trying to have all them crazy problems calling me 500 times talking about, I woke up with a hard Man, I ain't trying to date no trans woman. They're dudes, bruh.
You know, it's one of those situations where, like, if... how do I word this? It's one of those situations where it's like, you've got to expect it. I mean, you shouldn't feel like you have to, but at the same time, like, Lilly Tino takes it so to heart. Lilly Tino is a content creator. I don't know what else to say. She's definitely a content creator, right? So if you don't know who Lilly Tino is, she is pretty big over on TikTok, okay? She's got about 361,000 subscribers, or followers, sorry. And she's blown to infamy, I want to say, recently off the back of a video where she was in Disneyland or Disney World, and she was talking about gender reassignment surgery. And people were like, why are you talking about that so openly in public and using Pop-Tarts and, you know, other things to represent, you know, all of the anatomy of males and females and how you're gonna get all the surgery done. And in my opinion, right, I think that the message that Lilly Tino is trying to send is good, but the way that they're trying to go about it is completely wrong. And another thing that they've been kind of put on blast for recently is for making rage bait and for also, you know, getting upset with people when they quote unquote misgender them in public, even if they're not actually aware of the situation. All right. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. So we're going to take a look at some of Lilly Tino's latest videos so that you can just get an idea of what's going on. Starting with this.
Counting down trans vocab words that you might not know. Starting with number 5, the TERF. Short for trans exclusionary radical feminist, a TERF is someone who thinks they're a feminist, but they're actually not because they don't like trans people. J.K. Rowling and Dave Chappelle are both notorious TERFs, and trans people have boycotted their work as a result. On to number 4, someone whose passing doesn't...
I mean, Dave Chappelle, does he like actually like go against transgender people, or is it just that, you know, he uses that within his comedy? You know, I think there's a very fine line between that, and I know J.K. Rowling is incredibly outspoken when it comes to this kind of thing. A lot of people agree with what J.K. Rowling has to say. I mean, I'm not going to get into that too much, but, you know, she's been very controversial in with her takes as of late, has J.K. Rowling, but, you know, it's kind of crazy.
Doesn't read as being trans. For a lot of trans people, passing is the goal. Hunter Schafer is a great example of someone who transitioned early in life and today passes completely. Just keep in mind that it's not every trans person's goal to pass. On to number 3. AMAB/AFAB means assigned male or female at birth. So basically, when you came out of the womb, they looked at your parts and said, oh, that's a boy. And most people who have those parts are a boy, but not everyone. For example, I am AMAB, but I identify as a woman. That makes me a transgender woman. On to number 2. An NB is a non-binary person. That means they don't identify as a man or a woman. The N from non and the B from binary come together and are respelled to be NB. And last but not least, FFS stands for facial feminization surgery. It's a...
I mean, I've known FFS to stand for many things, and it's definitely not what I use FFS for. Usually it's when if I fuck something up and I'm like, FFS in my text messages.
Series of procedures that can make your face look more traditionally...
Getting pushed.
Oh, my bad. Anyway, you know, the issue is, right, with videos like this, is that people seem to, like, basically the upset is that people don't feel as if Lilly Tino should be the one educating kids on this. You know, this is obviously down to parent preference, of course. Many would rather that their kids never learnt about this kind of thing. Some would prefer that the schools teach them, where it can be, you know, taught in an environment where it's professionally conducted, not using Pop-Tarts and popsicles and all the rest of it in Disney World. You know, it's one of those ones. ones. But Lilly Tino also does this thing where she gets voicemails and then she reacts to them and responds to them in public. Everything's in public, by the way. You'll probably learn this.
We have enough issues with parents trying to push sexuality onto their kids. Like, oh, you're gay. And you know, they barely know how to talk. Kids are also watching you. They might think like, oh, I should do this or I should do that. Like, just try to make it more kid friendly.
This person seems to think that there are parents out there telling their kids before they can even speak, which is around the ages of 2 or 3, that they are gay. Let's role play that out for a second. Hello, child.
Okay, so, I mean, before she goes anywhere with this, right, let's not forget that Lilly Tino dressed up as Miss Rachel, okay? A very prominent figure on YouTube that educates children of around 2 or 3. I have put on Miss Rachel for my child at times and then realised that he was starting to get a bit of an American twang to his accent, so we swiftly stopped that. But, you know, Miss Rachel is fantastic at what she does. Lilly Tino dressed up as Miss Rachel to, you know, express, you know, or try and educate kids on being transgender and what it's like to be transgender and all the rest of it. But now is getting hypocritical because is going to like accuse parents of doing that to their kids and educating their kids and stuff. Like, it's a really weird one. I don't fully understand it.
Child, you are gay. I don't understand you because I'm 2 years old. It makes no sense. Even if the child could understand the parent, it's not like being gay is something that's transmitted or given to you. You're just born like that. But what's most egregious about this voicemail is that the caller is mixing up sexuality and gender. Who you're attracted to has no bearing on your gender. And to the person who sent the voicemail, if you are watching, I want to apologize on behalf of whoever lied to you. Queer people are not trying to convert kids. It's literally not possible to do. Let's eat this crepe. There's ham and cheese in this. C'est magnifique.
We already have...
I mean, the last part of the message, she's not exactly wrong. You know, you're not... I mean, I'm not going to get into my whole opinion on it because I could start issues. But, you know, like... But there are parents out there that will try and kind of force that upon kids and stuff. I've known it. I've worked in schools before. You know, it is a genuine thing. Right, so Lilly Tino there is actually wrong. Yeah, but then obviously she, people have come out and said to her like, "Oh, you're rage baiting," and this is what she's had to say about that.
You, in particular, I would say, are like someone who's faced maybe the most hate out of any trans person on the internet by other trans people.
Yeah, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I get it. Like, people just have their taste in the kind of content they want to consume. But I do think a big part of it is my voice. I do think that because my content is so grabby, the Kurt Cobain video is such a great distillation. That was maybe one of the first that really started getting me a lot of hate from the right, but also from some other trans people.
I bet you didn't know that Kurt Cobain was probably trans.
People got really upset about that, but for different reasons. I knew that that would upset people. That's not why I made the video, though, right? The goal is not to make people mad. The goal is to educate people, right? And in 2024, a big part of getting views on your content is by making them interesting, right? And making them vibrant and catchy, right? What Josh Sider is attempting, and if you ask me, failing to do, is to point out what he perceives to be truths about trans people via this like rage baity act.
Would you have with a trans woman?
Bruh! That's nasty, bruh. Everybody knows trans women are just trans-identified men that have gender dysphoria and are mentally ill. I ain't trying to have all them crazy problems calling me 500 times talking about, I woke up with a hard... Man, I ain't trying to date no trans woman. They're dudes, bruh.
And I kind of think that they're both wrong in this instance, you know? Like, obviously the guy is in the video, you know, I don't know who it is, but, you know, obviously that's messed up. But at the same time, you know, Lilly Tino trying to talk about rage bait is the most hypocritical thing I've ever seen in my life, because Lilly Tino literally is the definition of a rage bait. You know, she does everything that she can to rage bait, and that's exactly what she does. She says controversial things, does controversial things in public. I mean, ultimately, I do think she's trying to educate people. Whether people want to be educated or not is completely down to them. But, you know, she's doing the things that she knows is going to catch on, right? You know, it's doing things out in public, saying things like Kurt Cobain was probably trans, saying that Dave Chappelle is whatever it was that she labeled him and stuff like that, and J.K. Rowling. You know, it's that kind of stuff that catches attention. But let's just look at this video.
It is
2024. I can literally call a car to my house that has no driver in it, and it will come and take me somewhere in the city of San Francisco, and we are still using lobster claws. For someone like me who keeps my fingernails short, if you try to do the thing where you pull it down, it digs into your fingernail. It digs in. Ouch! And then, oh, you gotta hook it onto one of these. Which one? I don't know any of them. And then you finally hook it and it's like too tight, or ooh, it's so loose and droopy. Like, have you not heard of magnets? Magnets literally exist. I don't know what Shark Tank or business person I need to
Okay, this is not the video I thought it was gonna be. I thought this was gonna be like rage bait. Just turned out to be just talking about things, but here we go.
I've been misgendered 3 times in the past 24 hours at restaurants. Last night, I was at Benihana with my girlfriend, and the server said, "What about you, sir? What would you like to eat?" My girlfriend, God bless her heart, steps in, says, "Actually, that's ma'am." And she looks at my girlfriend and didn't really understand what had happened and said, "No, I'm talking to him," pointing at me. Our jaws were on the floor, and we decided to leave because it was just a bad vibe after that. In just a few minutes...
I mean, you know, it's one of those situations where, like, if... how do I word this? It's one of those situations where it's like, if you've got to expect it. I mean, you shouldn't feel like you have to, but at the same time, like, Lilly Tino takes it so to heart, to the point where, like, you know, they will complain to managers about staff and stuff like this. You know, there's videos of people, like, where she gets misgendered, and then the staff are like, I'm really sorry. And then she's like, no, you're not. And then she's like, oh, no, it's okay. But in the edit of the video, she'll be like, but it was not okay. And it's, like, one of those situations where it's, like, I don't know. I think it's, at this point, content for them, and I say that loosely because I don't want to say as if, like, oh, they're just, you know, saying they're getting misgendered for the sake of content. But at the same time, you can't walk in and just expect everyone to suddenly, like, you know, someone might have, like, if they're just glancing at you, I'm sure they've got, like, other tables to serve, right? Let's say one waitress is looking after 6 tables, for example. That's a lot of people, that's a lot of orders, that's a lot of going back and forth from the kitchen and stuff, from the bar to get drinks and all the rest of it. They might just quickly glance over at you or whatever and just, like, make an assumption. And, you know, I don't think that that should necessarily be penalised for. It's like, you know, yeah, sure, educate them, tell them, like, correct them. Don't get upset with them, though.
A few minutes ago, I was at another restaurant for lunch, and they showed me my seat and said, "Here you go, sir." And I said, "I am not a sir." And then I left because I wasn't comfortable anymore. And I went to a new restaurant and I asked, before I sit down, where's the bathroom, please? And they said, "Oh, it's right this way, sir." And I just left because I wasn't comfortable anymore. If you're a server in the food industry, you don't need to use words like sir or ma'am. There are ways to be respectful without using those words. And if you get it wrong for someone like me, I will probably leave the restaurant. And it puts, like, a bad vibe on my day when it happens, especially when it happens 3 times in a row. I have been
And, you know, it does suck, like, especially if you're trying to get away from that gender, right? But at the same time, it's like, it becomes a little bit more of a Lilly Tino problem when it's happening all the time and you're getting that upset about it, as opposed to, like, you know, it being the server's problem, if that makes sense. So I don't mean that to be offensive, but there's one final video.
I'm gonna get banned from this library. Focus.
Right, so this is the kind of thing that she says to begin with. I'm going to get banned from this library. She did it with the Disney World video. Oh, I'm going to get banned from Disney for this. Which means that she's hooking people in because they're like, oh, what could you get banned for? And then, you know, it goes on. And then when people call her out for this, they're like, she turns around in the video and is like, I can't believe that you guys have done this. You know, I can't believe that you're this upset about it. When you at the start of the video have said, I'm probably going to get banned from this location for this, meaning that you have an inclination that what you're about to do in that public space is probably not appropriate for that public space. Anyway, moving forward.
Yes. If you are someone who thinks that the word cisgender is a bad word, I have a favor to ask. Define it. Seriously, grab a dictionary and look it up, because I'm convinced that 99% of y'all don't know what it means. Cis is a Latin prefix that means same or on the same side as. So if when you were born they said it's a boy and that is the same gender that you feel you are cisgender. Trans, on the other hand, is a Latin prefix that means opposite or on the opposite side of. So if when you were born they said it's a boy and the gender you feel is opposite of that, you are transgender. Here's another example. Imagine I give you this piece of gum and tell you that it is mint flavored. And when you open it up and start chewing it, lo and behold, it is minty. Since the flavor I said it was is the same as what it actually is, this is a cis flavor piece of gum. But what if when you open the gum it isn't minty and is actually cinnamon? In this case, the flavor of the gum is opposite what I said it was.
Is cinnamon gum actually a thing? If it is, who thought that that was a good idea? And who buys that thinking it's going to taste good? I've never heard of this in my life. I feel like I need to hear of this right now. What on earth is going on?
Hopefully you can see that the word cisgender isn't an insult. The only reason that people get upset about it is because if being cis is normal, then so is being trans, and they don't like that. I'm gonna get...
Interesting. I mean, like, I found that one educational. I didn't know what cisgender actually meant. I'd never heard of it until that video. So, you know, Lilly Tino's content is actually doing its job. But, again, it comes down to the whole point of, you know, getting rage baity, getting angry at things and all the rest of it. Is it necessary? Let me know your guys' thoughts and opinion. Please, for the love of God, do not get, you know, transphobic. Don't get angry or, you know, start being offensive down in the comments, because those kind of comments I will just delete. Like, yeah, we can have an opinion on it, but, you know, hatred and, you know, misgendering and all the rest of it, I don't have it to that. Let me know your thoughts and opinions respectfully down in the comments. While you're down there, jump to get the hell out of the like button, subscribe if you're new, and until next time, I'll speak to you later. Peace.